We continue here from Indianapolis, site of the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine. Joining us now, the man of the week, the man that everybody wants to know.
The man of the springtime.
We are about to find out. Or
He's
not.
going to tell us it
Ryan
all right
Poles,
now.
Bears GM. Ryan, welcome back.
How you doing?
Go ahead. You want to lead it off?
Well, yeah. What are you going to do with the first overall pick?
Yeah, I'm supposed to come here with a full plan, and it's not there yet. So,
When will you know what you're going to do?
it's hard to say right now. I've been through this process before, and you got to gather as much information as possible. It's definitely a unique situation with Justin, but also gathering information about the rookie class. That takes time, and I think at the end of the day, we know with that position, you got to know the person. So we're going to spend time getting to know these guys here this week, and that'll probably continue after this week as well.
And it's Groundhog Day for you because you did the same thing last year.
Right.
How do you know when you know?
I think there's a little bit of instinct to it as well. You have these boxes that need to be checked in terms of gathering information and good information. And for me, it's always been a little bit of a gut instinct of, all right, it's time to pull the trigger. Let's roll with this. It feels right. So I've always leaned on that.
What is time, right, a factor here? I mean, I know it is to a degree, but would you rather come to this decision quicker than later? Does it affect the trade market, things like that, right?
Yeah, if it was up to me and I could kind of fast forward the information gathering and spend time with these guys and see them throw, I'd be able to make a decision a lot faster. And, in this whole process, what I don't want it to be lost is I want to do right by Justin as well. He's living in this gray space of where do I stand?
Yeah,
and it's important for me to communicate with him and make sure that he gets clarity. I think we all want clarity in this setup, but at the same time, I got to do what's right for the Chicago Bears and put us in a situation that we can win championships and sustain success for a long period of time.
I keep coming back to the logic of wait, this guy was in Kansas City. He was there with this guy that, they drafted, number 15. You took a big swing and cut, right, to make a gutsy decision there. And how much does that play into your mind with this decision right here?
Yeah, you want to use history. You want to use past experiences
Right.
as much as possible. You can lean on that to help you make those really tough decisions. But at the same time, they're all very unique in this setup. So, but it's definitely important to kind of tap into some of those past experiences.
Yeah, got you.
Did you have any inkling whatsoever last year when you made that trade that one of the things you're getting out of it is the first overall pick next year? I mean, do you root against the Panthers all year long to try to get that first overall pick?
Of course.
Maybe a little bit.
Lose, you guys, lose.
I'm not going to lie to you. But no, I never thought it would get to this situation. The one thing you do learn is infrastructure to support a young quarterback. That's important. Again, that makes our situation a little bit unique in terms of we've been able to make progress in that area with improving the offensive line, improving the receivers. Cole Kmet's coming along really well too, so that infrastructure is there for a quarterback to continue to grow or for a young quarterback to come in and feel like he doesn't have to do everything on his own.
How much of a factor is it for you, though, when players like DJ Moore, the receiver that you got in last year's trade, is publicly saying, he told us at the Scouting Combine, he said it again this week, Justin Fields is better than anybody else out there that they could potentially bring in. How much of that weighs on, this very vague process of figuring out the right path?
Yeah, you're always, tapped into your locker room and how they feel. That is important. But I will also say it makes me proud of our culture in our locker room that those guys have their quarterbacks back. That's what you want. It'd be a little bit different if you were saying, go get somebody else. So it makes me proud of the culture that we do have. But at the same time, that's what makes a GM's job really difficult and unique is that you have to think about short-term and long-term and kind of put the whole puzzle together and see the big picture. But yeah, I love that those guys have their guys back.
Are we at a point here yet, right? I know you're not going to give us specifics, but teams are calling you already about the number one? I mean, a lot of calls. What's that action like right now?
It's nothing crazy. Those conversations are kind of hitting the outer rings of my team. Right. So I expect, when we get rolling here this week, that some of those conversations will go up and we'll gather that and as a team, we'll sit down, kind of put it on the table and see what makes sense for us.
Like what do you think? Approximately, like how many teams have reached out to you so far?
It's hard to say. Right,
it's hard to say.
Couple, yeah.
Yeah, just a couple right now.
Yeah.
All right. And so, and if you can, like, dive into, like Mike was saying, you had the number 1 pick last year.
Yeah.
Is there a difference this year in the action, the chatter behind the scenes, compared to last year, and especially the quarterback class?
It's similar going into this week.
Yeah.
It's similar, but at the same time, it's nice to have gone through that last year. I thought we had really good outcomes of it.
Yeah.
I thought our team got better.
Definitely.
Continue to add players. Draft picks are always great, but they are just opportunities that you got to capitalize. You got to be right for that to make sense. So we're aware of that as well.
Yeah.
Does the value, in your estimation, change because of who the player is that is likely to be the first overall pick? Nothing against Bryce Young, but the point that Caleb Williams, the widespread belief that this is generational and he's going to be a great talent, does that cause you to expect more than you got last year?
Yeah, I think you got to put some of those things into the equation and look into the landscape and compare last year's players to this year's players in terms of their ceiling for the information that you have right now.
Do you still want to stay in the top 10 like you did last year if you would trade down? Does that make it more enticing to you?
We got to look at that as well. I talked about it last year. It really depends on, how many of those top guys we have on our board. That'll dictate how comfortable we feel moving back. Because there's that certain tier, your blue chip guys that you want to make sure you get in a certain range. And sometimes there's a drop off. You don't want to find yourself on the other side of that drop off. So we'll take, the volume of those top players into the equation.
Do you feel greater pressure to hit this year on the picks you have because all of a sudden the NFC North is like murderer's row?
Yeah. Everyone's making progress, which you love. Added pressure, I wouldn't say I feel added pressure, but, I see it as a really good opportunity to improve our team and get it where it needs to be. And kind of there's a vision coming into this thing, and some of these opportunities have accelerated that whole deal. So we'll look to capitalize on this.
How often are you in contact with, Justin Fields right now and the situation? Like you already alluded to it. It's a tough spot for him, certainly, right? So have you had personal conversations? Do you kind of keep them up to date on a regular basis, him and his camp?
Yeah, so when we had exit meetings, Flus and we had that conversation. I had that conversation with him just in terms of what to expect as we move forward. It's a unique situation. He understood that. He understands it's a business.
Yeah.
So we have that communication there, and I've been in communication with their team, and we'll continue to do that so I can give him as much clarity as possible because I do want to do right by him in whatever way we go.
Right. He seems respected by the team, like Mike was kind of talking about, right?
There's no doubt.
There's definitely growth in the player we saw this year.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Is there an area that you look at that whether he's your quarterback or not, that you go, he's got to improve in this area? Anything that jumps out to you in that standpoint?
I would just say continue to be efficient as a passer.
Right.
I thought you saw some growth with his ability. Obviously, we all know he can make plays with his legs.
No doubt.
I thought you saw him extend plays and keep his eyes up and start to make plays down the field with his arm. I thought he protected his body a lot better this year.
Right, he did.
But then continue to improve from the pocket, continue to improve in those 2-minute situations.
Yeah.
Because if we want to be a championship caliber team, those 2-minute situations are absolutely critical.
Right, like that guy you just came from in Kansas City.
Yeah, how about that?
He's kind of good in those situations.
When Justin Fields was injured last year, Tyson Bagent comes in as a rookie and does a pretty good job.
Yes.
Surprised a lot of people. How surprised were you by what he ultimately did when it was time for him to go play?
Not surprised at all. It didn't surprise anyone.
What did you see in him that made you think he was going to be that good?
Poise. For a kid that came from a D2 background, from day one, walking in, there was a calmness about him in the way that he executed. He's got a little something cool about the way that he moves and communicates with his guys that you respect. And
did you see that in his college tape, or you didn't find that out till he came in?
You saw a little bit of it, and obviously he was very, very productive. But I was actually really surprised just when all the vets show up, and I mean that guy was real cool and the way that he operated and learned fast. But he's got a really good way about him, and we expect him to keep growing as well.
You made, and I know you got to go here, but one thing I am interested in is you guys made some big moves. You traded for Montez Sweat, right? Got a pass rusher. Your team seems like it really turned the corner in a lot of ways. Mike will tell you, I was the fanboy towards the end of the year, just the way the defense was playing and fields and stuff like that, right?
It was disgusting.
I was picking you guys every week, and he's like, what the hell? You're picking the Bears again? I was like, you watch, they're going to beat Minnesota tonight.
You're right about that one.
So, but how do you balance, okay, quarterback, player, but I could trade down and, whoa, we could make the team that much better too.
Yeah.
How take us inside that a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard to take you inside that. It's very complicated. It keeps me up late at night just thinking all the different scenarios. Again, I'll just lean on the fact that it's a really good opportunity to keep building what we're building, regardless if that's from a quarterback standpoint, or if that's trading back or just picking where we sit right now. I know that we can continue to get better, and I want to be a playoff team next year and keep moving this needle so we can reach that big game at the end of the season.
Yeah,
I want to ask you one more.
Mm-hmm.
You get the email on Friday, you open it up, and it says 255.4.
Yeah.
How surprised were you?
I was surprised.
What did you expect it to be?
48, 50.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Others thought it was going to be lower.
40s, right?
Yeah.
How much is it going to affect? Because you already got a lot of cap space anyway, so it's not a huge impact.
Right. It impacts you in terms of your spending. I know for other teams that might have been hovering right at that line, it probably was a big deal for them, and that alters some plans.
All right, well, Ryan, whenever you know what you're going to do,
call you.
Let us know.
Yeah.
First and ninth
you can trust
overall
us.
pick.
We won't tell anybody.
They got a lot of
we
money.
won't tell everybody.
This is the man of the next 6 weeks right here.
Ryan, congratulations.
Yep.
And, hey, who knows? Maybe you get the first overall pick again next year with the pick that you acquire in a trade this year. We'll see how it plays out. We'll be back with more from the Scouting Combine next. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.